Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Angelisa and on this channel we talk about books. And today we are going to be doing my fall book recommendations. So fall is actually my favorite season. I love everything about fall, autumn, pumpkins, the weather, sweater weather, the vibes, spooky season, witches, literally everything fall related. So fall books are some of my favorite book genres. So I actually have a lot of books. I have a whole stack here. I've got another stack here. Another little baby stack here. So we've got a bunch of books that I'm going to go through. And let's just get right into it. We'll start with this stack that I have over here. One of the book genres that are very fall to me is fantasy books. Specifically like Greek mythology books. So the first one that I have here is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. Now this is a series and it has a companion series, the like Hades saga. So you can tandem read them or just read one series or read the other series. Like it's really up to you. But I just picked this one up because it is like the first one that started the whole thing. So this is about Persephone and Hades. It's like a modern retelling of the story and I just love this novel so much. And for some reason, I don't know, Greek books just give me a fall vibe. So I would say read this one in the fall. I think I'm gonna hopefully continue the series this fall because that's just, I don't know, that's just the vibes that I get when I read it. Now, not all fantasy books are like a fall vibe. Like the Cruel Prince trilogy is one of the fantasy books I would say feels more like a spring fantasy. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, so don't get me wrong, like I'm not just gonna talk about like all fantasy books, but I just wanted to like put that out there that like there are some fantasy books that feel more of a spring book to me. The next book that I'm going to talk about is the Percy Jackson series. So this is also Greek mythology. I read this recently and honestly it gives such fall vibes. I don't know why. It doesn't like take place in the fall or anything, but it just, I don't know how to explain it. It just gives a fall vibe and maybe it has something to do with like the whole school element and like camp element. I mean, obviously that is like a summer camp, but still like being in school, being in camp, just running away from monsters. I don't know, something about it gives fall vibes to me. So yeah, I really did like this one. I definitely recommend reading it in the fall. And when I asked my boyfriend about it, he said like the same thing. He was like, yeah, read it in the fall. It's a good fall book. All right, the next one that I have is more on like a witchy vibe, and it is the Ex Hex by Erin Sterling. So Erin Sterling also goes by Rachel Hawkins. She writes mystery thrillers as well. But this is a like witch contemporary romance, kind of like a rom-com, and it was so good. I loved it. She came out with a second book, The Kiss Curse, and I'm gonna read that one this year because I read this one last year and I loved it so much. And of course it gives such a fall vibe with the witches, obviously. But yeah, definitely would recommend this. Like there's like, I don't know, they're just like riding the thing and then there's like cats in it on every chapter page. There's like a picture of the black cat and the candle. And yeah, the second book is about Vivi's cousin, Gwen I think is her name, and this gave me similar feelings of reading like It Happened One Summer, where like the cousin or sibling relationship, it was a sister relationship in It Happened One Summer, but I'm pretty sure this one is like a cousin relationship, and it's just so cute. Like they just love each other so much and I loved it. All right, the next one is a fantasy, but it's also kind of like paranormal horror. I don't really know. It's Gallant by V.E. Schwabb. I really enjoyed this book. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on it. I thought that the concept was really cool, and when I was reading it, it kind of made me think of the Haunting of Hill House like show and how amazing this would be as a show and how I would just love to watch that type of show in the fall. Like there's nothing I love more than like bundling up on the couch and watching like spooky TV series. So yeah, Gallant gives me those vibes and I would definitely recommend this book. It's honestly the only V.E. Schwabb book that I've read. I want to read more of her books, but I thought it was a really good one to start with. And I don't know, the actual book itself is so pretty and there are a lot of like pictures in this book. Like throughout the book there are pictures to kind of like explain what's going on. I would totally reread this too. Like this was a really good book. All right, the next one we have is the start of a series. So I read The Hobbit recently in a video, the same video that I read Percy Jackson's series, where my fiance picked my books to read, and I really enjoyed this. Although I will say, I think if I'm gonna read the rest of like the Lord of the Rings books, I'm gonna read it in the fall, because I don't know, it's just, again, like that fantasy feel where it's very like dark and like you're going through the forest and like on an adventure, and it just feels like fall to me. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a vibe. I feel like this video is so crap because I can't explain why it's a fall book. It just is a fall book. Like, it's just, I don't know, like look at the mountains, like it's just that type of vibe. And something about just like running away from like different types of monsters. I think it's like a spooky thing to me. But yeah, I hope I'm gonna read the rest of it in the fall, but I would definitely recommend reading this in the fall because I read it in the summer, and I think that's part of the reason why it was hard to get into. Right, the next books I have are a fantasy duology. It is literally one of my favorite fantasy duologies or fantasy like book series ever. And it is the Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves like duology. If you know my channel, you know that I love these books, and I read them in like December, January, which was a vibe. Like reading in the winter was a vibe because that seemed like cozy feel, but I really do wish that I read this in the fall. I think the difference between fall and like winter reads is that like fall is a season where you can still like go outside, you can still go into a forest or like go for a walk in the park or something like that, and you can feel like you're like, you can go on an adventure during that time, whereas in the winter, like everything's so cold and it's just like, I don't know, I feel like books with like snow and like winter scenes make me want to read in the winter. Or a summer book because I'm like trying to escape. But anyway, back to fall reads. These were just amazing. The like constant like betrayal and trickery that's going on, but also the love story was adorable, and yeah, I want to reread these at some point. I want to do a video of like rereading some of my favorite books. The lighting just got really dark because my cat just blocked it all because he's sitting in the window. Anyway, I want to do a video rereading my favorite books, and I think I'm going to do these hopefully. But if you don't know, this is about like, it's in this like dystopian like fantasy world where there's these soldiers and they are going to find this guy who's been like causing trouble around different towns, and they want to arrest him, but on the way they run into the Ballingers. Is that his name? Is it the Ballingers? No, I'm totally like, I feel like I'm mixing up books right now. It is Ballingers. Oh my god, I thought I was mixing it up because I just read it. It happened one summer. But anyway, the Ballingers, and they are like a group, like a family who used to own a lot of land, and like slowly it's been getting taken away from them. So they feel like they have like a lot of like ownership and rights to certain things, whereas other, like, you know, the queen and stuff doesn't. So yeah, just like a fall vibe. I don't know. Okay, and then we have, and I feel like this was expected, my favorite fantasy series, which is the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I don't even think I need to explain this one. It's a fantasy series, you know, parts of it take place in certain courts that are just very like spooky nighttime kind of feel, and you know, there's monsters, there's romance, there's adventure, and it's such like a cozy book that you just want to curl up with. And that's why I would definitely recommend reading the first 3, these bad boys down here, in the fall, and then you can read A Court of Frost and Starlight over like the like winter break kind of thing and go into this book. Like the perfect reading season. That is literally the perfect reading season. So that's my recommendation for fall, is to start the ACOTAR series and then read these during the winter, because like so good. All right, moving on, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about some mystery thrillers. I'm going to talk about some like standalones first. So first we have The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I don't know if it's Sager or Sager. Please comment down below because I don't want to insult this person. But I loved this book. It takes place at like a lake house kind of thing, and that would make you feel like it's a summer read. But I'm pretty sure this takes place like in October or something, which is why it's a fall read. But also just the vibes, like it's very spooky, very dark, very like, it reminds me of different like horror movies that take place in like cabins in the wood and type of thing like that. So yeah, I read this, I don't even know what time of like year I read this, but if I were to read it again, I think I'd read it in the fall. Next we have the Final Girl support group. Now I feel like this is a given because it is like a tribute to all of those like slasher films and horror films that everybody likes to watch in October. So this one was kind of like a gimme. Obviously, you're going to read this in the fall. I don't think I did, but I wish I did. I might have enjoyed it more. I might have been in the mood for it more. The ending was a little bit weird, but everything that it took to get there was very entertaining. So do with that what you will. But yeah, this literally takes you back to like 1980 when all of the like final girl movies were coming out, like Texas Chainsaw, Nightmare on Elm Street, like just all of those movies. So yeah, I would recommend it as like a cute little like spooky fall read. I don't know why I said cute. It is not cute at all. It is not cute. Next we have one of my favorite like mystery authors. She's new to me this year because the queen, Miss Sarah Caroli, has literally hyped her up over and over again, and I was like, okay, let's try. And I'm obsessed. So obviously it's Alice Feeney. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors and His and Hers, and I loved both of them. I love the mystery vibes in them. It's just, again, something about her books just gives like a fall spooky vibe. Like you just want to read her mysteries in the fall. Usually they'll take place somewhere, like I don't know, when I think of like the town that this takes place in, it just reminds me of like Twilight. Like I just feel like it's always raining, it's always dark, like bad stuff just happens here. And then for this one, I'm pretty sure they go to like a weekend getaway in Scotland, yeah, and like it's rainy and dark and like weird things are happening. So yeah, it just gives like a fall type of vibe where you have spooky reads, spooky stories, just weird, monstrous things happening. So fall books for sure. I want to read more of her books too. I think I'm gonna buy more Alice Feeney books so I can read more of them because I just love her writing, like the twists and turns too. The lighting is back. Thank you, Rui, for shining the light on me. Anyway, moving on, we have another kind of like a mystery, not really a thriller. It's a dark academia, and dark academia is actually another like genre that I feel like it just screams fall. School starts in September, so anything that has to do with like school, college, high school, university, I immediately think September. I don't know why. I just do. But the one that I'm talking about is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. So this is like a play on Shakespearean tragedies, and something about it, like I explained, the school vibes, the plays, the Shakespeare, the darkness, just gives fall vibes. It was a very like poetic read, has a lot of symbolism in it. You kind of know like what's gonna happen before it happens, but it was still a really great read, and I definitely think like cozying up on a couch with this, it just brings back the like high school memories and high school vibes. So I feel like September or like October is like the perfect time to read this. All right, next we have a standalone by an author who does a lot of these types of books, but I've only read a few of hers. So this one is called Nothing More to Tell by Karen McManus, and she also wrote the One of Us is Lying series, which is in this stack. We will get to it. But yeah, this was same kind of vibe. It's like something happens in a high school. It's like a mystery in a high school. There's high school students trying to solve it. Some of them are probably guilty and are like trying to absolve their guilt or like push the guilt off to someone else. And it was just a really fun read, gave me a little bit of fall vibes, takes place in high school. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this and her other books. Like she has other ones called like The Cousins, and then obviously the One of Us is Lying series. I love her writing style. It's quick, it's easy. Her hardcovers are like 300 pages. The writing is huge, and her characters are just, I don't know, really like relatable and easy to read from their point of view. Keeping in line with that, we will talk about the One of Us is Lying series. So this is a trilogy. One of Us is Back just came out. I haven't read it yet, but I have read the first two and I did enjoy them. I will say compared to other mystery thriller like YA series that I've read, it's not the top one, but still gave like those same fall vibes, again because they take place like during the school year. Most of what happens is from like September to December kind of thing, and you're just kind of like going on this mystery with these characters as they try to solve what happened to Simon. This is kind of like a Breakfast Club meets, oh yeah, it's like a Breakfast Club meets like Gossip Girl kind of thing, where like there you have these 5 characters, you know, the jock, like the athlete, the popular girl, the criminal guy, the smart guy, and like the weird girl, or in this case the weird guy. So that's like Breakfast Club. And then the Gossip Girl part of it is that the weird guy he was like the publisher of like this gossip website that would reveal secrets about all the people in high school. So there's like the Gossip Girl element, and they all go to the detention, and then he ends up dead by the end of it because of a peanut allergy, and they're trying to figure out like what happened to him because they think it was more than just like he accidentally ate peanuts, like how did he get peanuts, all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's really fun, and it's just fun to follow, and it's multiple point of view. Like there's like 4 point of views, but it wasn't confusing. Like it was very easy to follow. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this series. I will let you guys know how One of Us Is Back is once I've read it. Right, the next one I have is another like YA mystery thriller series, and it is the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I freaking love this series. I just finished it recently, and the ending, it was such a good final book for like this type of series. It also has a prequel like novella with it that's really fun to read after you finish. So yeah, like you can read it before if you want to, like since it's out, if you haven't started this series, but it's also cute if like you've read the whole series, you want to read it after. Works the same way. But I don't know, I can't say much about this. I love this series. It takes place, same kind of deal. Mystery YA during the school year. It surrounds a bunch of students in high school. This isn't like a Breakfast Club Gossip Girl type of thing. It's more like she has like a podcast, and her capstone project is trying to solve a murder that happened 5 years ago, and she's trying to prove that like what the cops think happened like didn't happen, like something else is probably going on here. So yeah, and then the next book is a different mystery, and then the last book is another mystery, and it's just so much fun and gives such like good fall vibes. And honestly, you could finish this like over a Thanksgiving weekend. Like this series is so fast paced and so addictive that yeah, you could just finish it so quick. Speaking of addictive series, we have the Inheritance Game series. Now, I feel like I don't need to say much about this. I just finished it. There is a reading vlog already where I read the first 2, and there will be a reading vlog where I read the last one. And Jennifer Lynn Barnes' new book that's come out, The Brothers Hawthorne, or is coming out this month. So stay tuned for that. But this trilogy, oh my goodness. Now, this doesn't take place in a school. It isn't fantasy. It is a mystery, but it's not really a thriller. And for some reason, it's a fall vibe. I don't know if it's because it's so binge-worthy, or like fall is where you can really like hunker down and like read. You know, summer is very busy, holidays are very busy, spring is getting into summer, like fall is, I feel like, when like people get a lot of their reading done. And I feel like this is a great trilogy to pick up if you have a lot of time to read, because you're gonna want to read like 1, 2, 3 right away, because if you don't, things start to get disconnected. I will say my mother-in-law got a little bit like tired by the last book and was saying that the characters like got a little bit confusing for her because so many things kept happening, but she agreed that like if you're gonna read it, read them right one after another, but then take a break before you start The Brothers Hawthorne, because it's a lot of Hawthorns to have 3 books worth and then go into a 4th one. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. And I just love it so much. There's so many twists and turns. It's got like a Knives Out kind of vibe for the first book, if you know that movie. I can't say much about it because like I always forget where things like happen, but basically this person, Avery, has inherited billions from this stranger who disinherited his own family, and she's trying to figure out why the hell she inherited this money. Obviously they're trying to figure that out too. They're like, girl, how did this happen? Like, what did you do to our grandpa for him to give you all this money? So yeah, it's really fun, and just the way that this author's mind works amazes me. That's what I'll say. All right, the last series I have is going to take us all the way back, and that is the Hunger Games trilogy. Now, I first read this when I was a little pre-teen, and I would say totally a fall read. If you don't know, if you're living under a rock, there are movies out of this, and just try and tell me those movies don't scream fall. Just try and tell me. Like, come on. It's a fall book. And there is kind of, I guess, a little bit of fantasy in this, because there are like things in it that like don't exist in like our world, and I guess that classifies it as a fantasy. But is it? No, there's poisonous berries. Oh, what about like all the animals and stuff and like the bees? I don't know. Anyway, besides the point, it just gives like a fall read, and I feel like because most of us, if you're around my age, we're probably in school when these came out. I feel like it just gives like a fall vibe, like something that you would read in the fall when you like go back to school type of thing. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. And I love these books. I've had them forever. You can tell that like the covers are a little frayed on the edges and whatnot. I'm pretty sure I thrifted one of them because I lost my copy of The Hunger Games, so I ended up thrifting this one because I found one. But yeah, you can tell it's a different color from the other two. But anyway guys, that is all the books that I would recommend for the fall. And there are others, but I didn't want this video to be super long and, you know, like a repetition of what other videos have suggested as well. So I tried to pick my favorite books that, like, if I hadn't read these would all be on my fall TBR for this fall. There will be a video about that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below what books you would recommend to read for fall, or what books you're planning to read this fall. I always need new book recommendations. As I said, fall is my favorite season, so I will always take a fall book recommendation. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. I want to try and hit 1,000 before my birthday at the end of this month. My birthday is August 29th, so that would just, like, I don't know, be the best birthday present ever. So hopefully I'll make it there. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!